Okay, welcome everyone to yet another post round 2 interview. This time with me, Nassim Fouchane. I tried to pronounce it properly, I hope I did.
Yeah, perfect.
Right, and I have this gentleman with me today because he absolutely demolished his opponent, or at least that's what BCP says. Now we are going to find out if that's really what happened. So, Nassim, first of all, what are you playing? Second of all, what was the game like?
I'm playing Tau. I know the evil of the world.
You know.
Done with nids. I'm playing Tau. Farsight Enclaves. Played these demons in the end. Bellicore, like a monster mash type. So Bellicore, Bloodthirster that is phase gapped, and Kairos. Kairos.
Right.
A couple units of demonettes, couple units of bloodletters, and flamers.
Obviously.
Typical stuff in the little herald form, ritual. It went well. He went first. He went up and put up 3 banners, and didn't really do much else after that because I played very defensively. And then the tower shooting phase started.
Right.
And so I moved my Sunshock bombers because they're really good, and bombed essentially a squad of demonettes, almost to a 1-man. Finished it off so you cannot hold that objective. And then I shot the other. I got his line of sight on the Herald.
Right.
Killed the Herald, so he couldn't get Warp Ritual after that turn as well. So he was only maxed out and got it out for free. And I finished off the squad of demonettes, and I killed the actually Flamer squad with the 5-man Crisis because they can move 18. Shot them, everything to them.
Remove them.
And just picked them up. Just picked them up. So that was a turn 1. So he had no forward positioning. I had moved forward to screen, so only things he could charge were a Devilfish, 4 Crit Hounds, and off the top of my head, 10 Crit, which is what I lost the following turn. However, in return to that, he did end up losing his Bloodletters, which was rough because he had no normal Bloodletters after that. He lost some more Flamers, and Bellicore was having to charge backwards to deal with planes because that was what he was reliable in doing. So that's how the game went pretty much, and then turn 3, Bloodthirster came down for the charge, and I killed both that and Kairos.
Oh my god.
Yeah, so phase gap doesn't matter too much for Farsight, mainly because I think I'm the only Tau player that's not taking an example of the Kaiun.
Okay.
Yeah, so there's no redeploy, but there's Master of the Killing Blow, so I can ignore phase gap, I can ignore Feel No Pains, etc. So I was able to just kill that with Kairos, everything else, and from turn 4 and 5, it was just killing Bellicore, which is essentially what happened the rest of the game.
Okay. So it sounds, or you make it sound very one-sided. Was it really like,
Yeah, it was
mopping
a bit,
the floor with the demons?
It was a bit rough, mainly because I have never played these demons before. However, after understanding their threat ranges, their teleport shenanigans, their loci, it's not easy to play around. What they have is durability, but because with Tau you're able to just bypass that by just so many shots, it does end up being fine roughly.
Right.
And Kaiun really starts to kick in from turn 3 onwards, so your damage just starts to crank up. And biggest part is not losing any key assets, any damage dealers. I mean, the damage just essentially more than doubled later on.
Okay. So that was game 2. We don't know yet. I think we don't know yet who you'll be playing in round 3. Are there any matchups that you don't really feel comfortable with?
Other Tau players potentially. Other Tau for sure. Depending on the list, archetypes. There's a lot of Tau set. Not that many Farsight Enclave. Thank God. So I have the commander advantage.
Right.
But so it'd definitely be Tau set. Manny's rack list. So I think he's in a little bit of trouble now with his James Kelling. Manny's rack list. And
I wanted to ask, and I mentioned that when we were actually getting here. So far, in the Invitational and in the games before, we've seen that Tau really struggles against early pressure Harlequins. It seems that Harlequins with the -1 to hit, with their movement shenanigans, and just sheer speed, they can outmaneuver Tau. And so, are you ready for that?
I would say I am. I've had a bit of practice into Harlequins. Now, it's definitely not going to be easy. However, essentially with them, I do believe my secondaries are stronger. If I play them correctly, I believe my secondaries are stronger. And for the Harlequins to essentially neuter my damage output, they do have to overextend quite a bit of their army. A bot or 2 is not going to kill a Crisis squad through its show drones and show generators. And I've actually had this before where I've played both variations of it. with a slightly, I won't say weaker list that I had previously, where Harlequins go first, they kill the whole 5-man, but in return they essentially use almost of their army. Mainly because you're able to leverage the commanders.
Right.
The -1 to hit doesn't matter when you are BS2 with +1 with a marker like being within 9. When you have access to reroll wounds rather than reroll hits with that being Farsight and the example of the Monka.
How about the mission game? Like the Harlequins, troops are all OPSEC. How about your OPSEC? It's quite easy to remove, I think.
No, it's 100% quite easy to remove. It would depend on the mission. I think on Vital Intel it would have been favoured from my side. However, I'm not playing against Harlequins on that, unfortunately. But the Harlequins will find it hard to take my backfield objectives. And every time I play Tower, I always give myself maximum of 8 primary for the first 3 battle rounds.
Okay.
And it isn't until turn 4 and 5 that I scored 8 and 12s. Luckily, I've had some favourable matchups, so I was able to leverage the primary leads. However, usually I don't expect to max primary, but I don't expect them to max primary either because I'm able to remove them off that primary.
Yeah, absolutely.
I have the weight of shots of the burst, the sibs. Maybe if I had loads of plasmas, it'd be worse for me. However, over 100 burst shots, I think off the top of my head in my list. So I'm able to leverage that. And with reroll wounds and having a marker like automatically on them, it really does help.
Right. So do you think, and now honestly, is Tau overpowered right now?
Oh yeah, 100%.
So what do you think is going to see some nerfs in the next data slate?
I think personally, crisis suits are still a little expensive.
Expensive or cheap?
Not cheap, sorry. They're still a bit too cheap. That's what I did there. Yeah, they're still a little bit too cheap.
Player.
Yeah, I know, right? It's too expensive. No, they are definitely a little bit too cheap. I'll probably bump them up. I leave the weapon upgrades as is. The weapon upgrades are fine, and bump them up like 5 to 10 points each, 100%. Just the squads just do it's just still so good.
Right.
But I think everything else probably needs to come down a little bit outside of the commanders. Commanders need to go up about 10 to 15 each. Gold Star, it needs to be 200 base. Enforcer's fine as is, and Crisis Commander needs to go up, I think, like 15 points. It's just so efficient for what you get. Fullback shooting, charging modifiers.
A little bit too efficient.
Exactly, and they still have their data sheet on top of those abilities. Advanced 8, flat 8 is ridiculous. Combo that with Advanced flat 8, shoot, fire and fade. So you've essentially moved 24
and you're
inches.
literally playing Eldar.
You're playing Eldar and you're OPSEC because you can get them OPSEC.
Yeah.
And they ignore modifiers. So they're going to hit pretty much everything they have in the game on freeze because of the +1 to hit with a fast. It's just the Crisis needs to get hit. I think the moment Crisis are hit, you're going to see a lot less Tau. Mainly because I'm still able to leverage 11 Crisis plus 3 commanders and still have an army. If I have that many Crisis, I should realistically have like maybe 400 points left, not 1,000, which is insane.
Absolutely. All right, okay. I think we will wrap here. So thank you very much for joining me, for doing the interview.
My pleasure.
And I wish you a lot of luck in the future tournaments.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
You too. Take care.
You too.